Can I help you?
Yeah, I need to find a review. It's for my English class. We have to find reviews of the play we're reading, but they have to be from when the play was first performed, so I need to know when that was, and I suppose I should start with newspaper reviews.
Newspaper
Contemporary
reviews,
reviews.
Sorry?
contemporary reviews.
You
Sorry,
want
you want
contemporary
contemporary
reviews.
reviews.
What's the name of the
What's the
play?
name of the play?
It's Happy
It's Happy
Strangers. It was written
Stranger.
in
It was written
1962,
in
and we're supposed to
1962.
write about its
It's supposed
influence
to
on
write
American
about its
theater and show
influence
why
on
it's been so
American
important.
Well, that certainly explains why your professor wants you to read some of those old reviews. The critics really tore the play to pieces when it opened. It was just so controversial. Nobody had ever seen anything like it on the stage.
Really? Is that big a deal?
Oh, sure. Of course, the critics' reaction made some people kind of curious about it. They wanted to see what was causing all the fuss. In fact, we were on vacation in New York. Oh, I had to be, around 16 or so. And my parents took me to see it. That would have been about 1965.
Oh, so that was the year it premiered? Great, but newspapers from back then aren't online, so how do I...
Well, we have copies of old newspapers in the basement, and all the major papers publish reference guides to their articles, reviews, etc. You'll find them in the reference stacks in back. But I'd start with 1964. I think the play had been running for a little while when I saw it.
How'd you like it? I mean, it's just two characters on stage hanging around and basically doing nothing.
Well, I was impressed. The actors were famous, and besides, it was my first time in a real theater. But you're right. It was definitely different from any plays that we'd read in high school. Of course, in a small town, the assignments are pretty traditional.
Yeah, I've only read it, but it doesn't seem like it'd be much fun to watch. The story doesn't progress in any sort of logical manner. It doesn't have any real ending either. It just stops. Honestly, I thought it was kind of slow and boring.
Well, I guess you might think that. But when I saw it back then, it was anything but boring. Some parts were really funny, but I remember crying too. But I'm not sure just reading it. They've done this play at least once on campus. I'm sure there's a tape of the play in our video library. You might want to borrow it.
That's a good idea. I'll have a better idea of what I really think of it before I read those reviews.
I'm sure you'll be surprised that anyone ever found it radical, but you'll see why it's still powerful, dramatically speaking.
Well, there must be something about it, or the professor wouldn't have assigned it. I'm sure I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Can I help you? Yeah, I need to find a review. It's for my English class. We have to find reviews of the play we are in. But they have to be from when the play was first performed, so I need to know when that was, and I suppose I should start with newspaper reviews and contemporary reviews. Sorry? You want contemporary reviews? What's the name of the play? It's Happy Strangers. It was written in 1962, and we are supposed to write about its influence on American theater, and so why it's been so important. Well, that certainly explains why your professor wants you to read some of those old reviews. The critics really tore the play to pieces when it opened. It's controversial. Nobody had ever seen anything like it on the stage. Really? Is that a big deal? Oh, sure, of course, the critics' reaction made some people kind of curious about it. They wanted to see some fast causing all the fuss. In fact, we're on vacation in New York. Oh, I have to be around 16 or so, or so. And my parents took me to see it. And that would be about 1965. So that was the year premiere. Great, but newspaper from back then weren't online, so how do I? Well, we have copies of all the newspapers in the basement, and all the major papers published reference guides to their articles, reviews, etc. You will find them in the reference stacks in the back. But I started with 1964, so I think the play had been running for a little while when I saw it. How do you like it? I mean, just the two characters on the stage hanging around and basically doing nothing. Well, I was impressed. The actors were famous, and besides, it was my first time in a real theater. But you're right. It was definitely different from many plays that we read in high school. Of course, in a small town, the assignments are pretty traditional. Traditional. Here, I haven't read it, but it doesn't seem like it would be much fun to watch. The story doesn't progress in any sort of logical manner. Doesn't have a real ending either. It just stops. Honestly, I thought it was kind of slow and boring. Oh, well, I guess you might think that, but when I saw it back then, it was anything but boring. Some parts were really funny, but I remember crying too. But I am not sure just reading it. They've done this play at least once on campus. I'm sure there is a tape of the play in your BD library. You might want to borrow it. Borrow it. That's a good idea. I'll have a better idea of what I really think of it before I read those reviews. I'm sure you will be surprised that anyone ever found it radical. But you will see why it is still powerful, dramatically speaking. Dramatically speaking. Dramatically speaking. Dramatically speaking. Dramatically speaking. Dramatically speaking. Yeah, it must be something about it. Oh, the professor don't have an assignment it. I'm sure I'll figure it out. Figure it out. Figure it out.